Here we go. Let's try d4. Okay, maybe we'll get a Nimzo. No, we get the Marshall defense to the Queen's Gambit. So you bring this knight out immediately to prevent e5, which is a way that black can try and equalize from this position. Otherwise, this is not a particularly good setup for black. Once you've got this knight out, if you can't get in the e5 break, you just have a better center. So this is not an opening I could recommend. But you do have to pay attention. You know, he's got pressure. So there's no actual pressure on this pawn just yet. But if I were to kick the bishop and then he takes and I take back with the queen, then this pawn would hang. So let's defend it. And same thing, once again, if I kick the bishop, he takes, I take, then he can take this pawn. So let's just solve that by pushing this pawn forward, and then I'm going to kick his bishop. Yeah, and let's do it now before he gets his knight to e5. Now, if I were to develop my bishop naturally to if I were to develop my bishop naturally to d3, then his knight coming here would fork the queen and the bishop. Queen would drop back, and then he could trade his knight for the light squared bishop. So I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to figure out should I move the queen now, or should I move my bishop somewhere else? Should I do something else? Bishop all the way out here might be interesting. Then I could bring it back around. Let's try it. I see. He's just going to trade it off. Sorry, I didn't realize when I dropped back here he would just take it with his knight if he wanted to get the bishop pair. I was thinking I could bring it back to this square. Okay, so I could have just put the bishop here in the beginning. Let's just castle. Now, knight first. Oh, I guess if I take with the knight, then the bishop will be hitting this pawn here. So let's do this. So I don't know, this pawn, this advanced pawn might be a weakness in the long run, but we'll see. I can always trade off this knight, I guess, if I get worried. So knight here hitting the queen would force a trade. Let's defend this pawn first. So I can move this knight with impunity. So I go here, he trades knights, and you know, everything is cool except okay, let's take that knight so that I don't don't lose. Okay, now I can defend with the bishop here too. So I end up giving the bishop pair back. We have opposite colored bishops. I have this advanced pawn, which needs to be taken care of. Not sure who's better here. the bishop drops back to b3, and it's defended there. It shields the b pawn from the queen, although the b pawn would still be under potential attack from the dark squared bishop. Anyway, black is taking a moment to consider his options here. Wonder if I could just push a pawn and dislodge this knight here. Well, now once again I have the idea of playing knight here, forcing a trade. You always have to think about what to do. What is there a value in the pawn push? But right now, opens up this bishop's diagonal, but it's hitting a pretty solidly defended point on f7. Maybe if he moves his, if I get rid of the knight and he moves his rook to the center, this could become weak. Could be a future tactic. These pawns on the queen side could be weak too. Let's see, queen here. But only, yeah, the queen's defending this one. Pushing this pawn forward does attack the b pawn, huh? Let's do this first. See what he chooses at this point. Yeah, now there is a weakness here. So the pawn push hits the f7 square with the queen and the bishop. Like so. What's the best? Just take with the bishop and get the exchange. Taking with the queen does not win. Yeah, let's attack that pawn. I see. He wants to. Yeah, that's a bit dangerous. Okay, let's see. The queen, his queen and rook are hitting this point. I could just give up that pawn. He's not mating me, I think. Rook here. Force a trade and open up the back rank. For a queen check on the back rank, which would win a bishop. If I play rook here, he takes, I take, he takes. Oh, I'm wrong. When I go back to check, he just brings his rook back. But I have a queen against a rook and a bishop. It's probably enough to win, too. Okay, went there. Still like the idea of forcing a trade here. I'm neglecting this pawn over here if he trades. So how about if I take? He takes, and then I go check. That doesn't work. How about I check here? He takes. That doesn't work either. Okay, queen here maybe. Well, that was not a well-considered move. Okay, well, that was a blitz game. Let's see if we can play a rapid game here. Okay, I did d4, so let's do e4. Knight for that bish. Strong player. Okay, we get the old Ruy Lopez here. He's playing the Berlin defense, so if you just castle here, he can take and get into some line where you end up trading queens, and it's kind of ugly. So I avoid the main line of the Berlin. I mean, it's okay. If it's okay for white, we end up playing a long end game with no queens. The queens traded early. If black chooses, it's kind of a forcing line. So he's hitting my bishop. I can, of course, take. I think I will. He took with his bishop. So let's kick his bishop back. It opens up a path for my bishop back into my camp here. And let's bring my knight over to the king side, a replacement knight. You know, the bishop could also sit on b3 and look along this diagonal again. That's pretty nice. Potentially. Okay, I take. He takes with knight or pawn. And then develop my bishop. Bring my rook here. Yeah, I like this. Okay, I could put my bishop here with tempo first, since he took with the queen. That was the one move I was not expecting. I can't do that right away. This is hanging. Okay, so I do have to put my knight here first. So now let's hit the queen. Let's see. So he might get a queen trade anyway. Maybe that's this guy's plan. He wants to trade queens and go into a long, drawn out. Actually, it's called a queenless middle game rather than an end game, but technically, long, drawn out, queenless middle game. So if he takes and I take and he takes and I take, my pawns are messed up, but there's no queens on the board to really exploit that. So it's not something I need to be afraid of. On the other hand, I could kick the queen. Yeah, I should kick the queen in any case. Yeah, that's what he wanted. It's kind of dull playing against someone who just wants to trade queens. It's a sad thing. Okay, let's defend this pawn. Let's oppose this bishop. I do have the bishop pair, so allowing him to trade may seem counterintuitive, but it also gives me a much better pawn formation. So he might avoid the trade or just leave the tension. Anyway, allows me to develop my rook. So he just leaves it, huh? Well, he doesn't want me to... yeah, let's just defend. I can still do the same thing if he takes. Take back with a pawn. Let's kick his knight, huh? Or maybe I should just take that pawn, huh? Oh, he's going to pin it. I see. He's going to put his rook here. Okay, yeah, let's kick the knight. Let's force some action. And then step my king up, and then the pawn will be under threat. Well, Mr. Knight for that bish has not given up his knight for this bishop. Doesn't he believe in his motto? Or maybe he wants the knight. He gives up a bishop to have a knight. But the way it says knight for that bishop, it sounds like he's giving up his knight for your bishop. Mr. Knight is thinking. I mean, he can retreat. So he's looking to attack the bishop and the pawn. Yeah, it's a good move, actually. Looks good. I did not anticipate that. Okay, so I can take his... actually, taking his bishop is probably not in the cards here, huh? Because I take his bishop, he could take my bishop, and then I retreat, and he wins the exchange. So what should I do here? Okay, this is under fire, needs to be protected, defended, or otherwise utilized, moved. When I move it, I lose this pawn. Yeah, that was a good move. Okay, how about I push a pawn forward? He takes, I take. He takes the exchange, I take. And I'm threatening to promote. He steps his king up to stop that. I have to take back. And he won the exchange again. Okay, rook here. Just have to give up that pawn. Okay, now he trades. He takes that way. So let's get rid of the knight. Actually, there's a problem after this. Let's see. So I take his knight, takes back with the rook. I step up here to defend the pawn. He comes here with check, threatening to win pawns here and here. So it'd be better to put my rook here. But then he's, I need to move my rook because it's under fire, and then this guy is under attack. On the other hand, I can take the pawn in the corner after that. So I go here, he takes the pawn, I take his rook. King or rook takes back. And bishop takes pawn. So I'm still a pawn down, but still fighting too, and I have a bishop. Yep. So have to exchange right away. And then grab this pawn. He can trade rooks. That seems to be his pattern here. Ah, he can grab another pawn. Okay, so I've got a check here. Let's see which way he goes with this. Let's bring the rook over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, probably a winning end game for black. So that's why he likes to do this. Here we'll step up. Get the king in the game. Planning to walk the king up to g4 and play h5. Maybe weaken his kingside pawns here while he tries to get his majority going on the queen side. I chase the knight away from that good square. I was thinking about putting my rook here and then bringing it down here and delivering a check and picking up this pawn. But the knight always had the taking of the e-pawn here. Yeah, he wants to keep that good knight. Okay, pin the c-pawn. Okay, let's trade. And yeah, let's see if we can do something here. Okay, I need to keep an eye on this pawn. Oh, shoot, he's got that guy again. The one advantage of the bishop versus the knight in the endgame is it can look at both sides of the board. So it's defending a pawn over here and looking at a pawn over here. Oh, look at that. He's decided he can just go for it. So I can take here with check. Or I could take with the bishop and set up a discovered check. So I take, he pushes. Yeah, the bishop doesn't have any targets. I take, he pushes. Go here with check, the king takes it. So I might as well take with the rook. Now, let's see, can I get a tempo? Yeah, the king is avoiding light squares, so I can't easily move my bishop with tempo. Go here, he pushes the pawn. Take the knight, he pushes the pawn again. I'm too late to stop it. So I have to come back. I could attack the knight first. Ah, no, I can't attack the knight first because my rook is hanging. Let's just come back then. And if I can get rid of this pawn, it'll be 2 versus 3. And bishop versus knight. Might be a draw. Might be. So he thinks he can save it. I guess he can put his knight over there. Or there. It's got 2 squares. He can save it too. So I can bring my king in. Just have to move it carefully anywhere that somewhere there's not a check. Here, here, and here. Yeah, that would work. Ah, he's figured this one out, huh? So I can take, he goes here with check. I move. There's only that one check. I don't understand. He's just giving up this pawn. Yeah, so this is what I thought might be a draw. Bishop versus knight, and he's just got one extra pawn. Okay, let's pin this pawn here. Yeah, he unpinned immediately. Let's see, is there any simple way to draw it? Like I sacrifice the bishop here and then somehow manage to win this pawn. I don't see it. So he's going to try and outflank me with his king. Let's just prevent the king from coming forward. Aha, he went there. Okay. Oh, he did want to push it forward. I was thinking he didn't want to do that. This Brings in some drawing ideas. Right, I can sacrifice the bishop for the pawn, and then take this one, and he can't win. Ah, that's his idea. Not bad. Okay, I take the knight. He takes back. And then I move the king in, then his pawn goes forward. I take the knight. He takes back. I take the pawn. He moves his pawn forward. I move my pawn forward. I'm too far away. Oh, looks like he got me. Looks like he got me. So let's take this first. I take here, he pushes. Yeah, I just didn't see that coming. That was a nice trick. Okay, yeah, I don't see any way to hold this anymore. Let's go ahead and resign. Thank you for the game. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting kind of fighting end game. Let's go back here for just a second to the analysis board and see if I actually had a draw at some point. So say after I went here and just made my plan clear, turn it on. Is there a way to, yes, it's a draw. So I did achieve a draw, which is a nice thing. So then the mistake, let's see where the mistake was. He goes, I go, that's correct. He goes, I go, that's question mark. So I needed to go all the way back here. I have to be on this side because of the danger of his knight coming in here. And I just went to this square instead. Let's see, he went here, which was a mistake. And I went there, which is okay, and still a draw. I go back here, that's a mistake. And then he finally hits the idea of putting his knight in the way. So let's go with the plan the computer suggested. Suppose I moved the bishop here. He's going to try and, yeah, I guess he doesn't have any good way of chasing it. Okay, he can bring his king here. I can take. And he can chase my bishop. I can run away. And then when he goes back, it's still just a draw. And I can go back here. So every time the king chases a bishop, I can step away because the knight can't come in, because the king isn't there to defend it. And then when the king steps back to defend the knight, then in that case, I have to put the bishop here before the knight gets to this square. Before the knight gets to this, before the knight gets to this square, I have to make sure the bishop is on this side of the pawn. And then it's just a draw. Okay, well, I thought that was an interesting endgame. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye now.